Hello, I'm Dave Hillier, and this is a video in my Dataless Design series. Today, we're going to start connecting the data to make a functional application out of these building blocks. This should give you a feel for what to look for when working with Dataless components. Okay, so last time we talked about Dataless Design themes, and this is roughly where we left off. I think I've added these progress bars to the side. We've kind of got a mashup of a landing page, of a dashboard, and probably a record view. So today we're going to actually get these components, these Dataless components, configured, and we're going to see what they look like when they're wired up, and we'll put them in their right place. Okay, so let's start by looking at our data. So I've pre-prepared some data in a different session. We'll probably do a build from scratch and look at putting some of the data in as well. If we have a look at our central case record, so we kind of get a feeling where we're going with this, we've got this central case. Case has this relationship to documents. It also has a priority and a status for each case type, so there's some supporting information. And it can have comments as well, so each case can be talked about. And then we have this concept of a work list. This is like database tasks, effectively. So we'll wire this up, and we'll put in a process task list as well to kind of bring everything all together. Let's make a start then. So if we go to our design experience where we dragged all of these on with no configuration before, they're all just wired up to theme, so they get that standard look and feel. At the moment we're passing in no theme in here, so we've got a plainer version of everything. I'm going to just take out this first column because I don't want progress on my main landing page. Work list is good. Let's bring our panel in and have a look at our design library. So at the moment we've got a task list and a work list. We do actually have a hybrid option, which is a database checklist that supports process tasks. So let's actually wire this one up. So we have our hybrid task list. So in this case, we're going to configure all of our fields. Our fields are going to be record type fields in this case. So we have our work list is what we're working on. I'm going to copy that base because we use that a lot. And I'm doing the item name here. So I've got a name in here, and then I've got a due date. Now the building block takes a style parameter, which I've put in a relationship so that we can control and add styles more easily. And that's the name that we want for that, so the value. And the same for status, that it's in progress or whatever it wants. The status name, it's not worried about what the ID of it is. So status value. We need our assignee. We've got an assigned to field. It's going to be a user. And our item ID. So we'll come back to the data shortly. We need to put a query in here. We'll use a rule for that to keep it nice and tidy. Our field item link. So this is so that we can link to when we click on the link, we can drill into it. In this case, our item link type that we're going to use is actually is going to be a record type. So what I'm going to use for the ID is the case ID, and then I'm going to give it a record type of case here. So now when I click on the link, the item is going to open up the case record. So that'll be quite handy. Open item in, we have the new tab, record actions. Let's have a couple of actions for our work list. Maybe want to just let's just update the work list item. We'll include that one. Show progress bar true. The theme is our theme. It's already wired up. I don't know what happened to that. And I'm happy with call it my task list. So here's where we can filter if we want to include process tasks in our list. So we've got a hybrid between database tasks and process tasks. I can set that to true. If I want to filter it on certain process model IDs, I can provide those here. And then we've got our last field, which is our created date, created on. Okay, so that leaves us just with the data to fill out. So we need to put our query in here. And then the data can come from any source. It can come from an integration, it can come from a map, or it can come from a query. In this case, we've used record field references, so it's expecting a record query. Let's do that in a separate rule. So we'll do an expression rule, and we call it get checklist items. And now it's nice and easy. We use our expression rule designer. Work list. Continue. Now we care about some of these. We're using the status and the style from the relationships, so we'll include those in our query. That's fine. We are taking all of the items in the checklist. Legal properties. I'll generate that. Okay. Let's go quick test. And it brings all of the fields that we need in, and we could paste this into our expression, or we can just more appropriately use this. Checklist items. And that fills it out. Okay. Great, so there's our hybrid task list configured. So we've got here, you can see these are our actual tasks. Let me delete this database task list. This is actual Appian task list. So these are the real tasks, and you can see here that you've got the same ones. This one's actually already in progress, so it's showing it's been clicked before. If I click on this, it'll dump me into the task, and it's an empty task at the moment, but that's fine. If I go back to my list, now I've opened that task. If it refreshed, you'd see it change. There you go, they're both in progress now. And these ones are our database tasks. If we click on these, it'll take us to the record case view. We don't have a summary view yet. We're going to work on that shortly. If we take the action, then we can update our work list. So here we can change the style. So I might change this to RPH out the box style I created, and change it to new in terms of the status. And we can see that it changes. So now we've got RPA icon here, and it's no longer in progress. I could change the status to complete. Obviously, this would be part of your workflow normally, and it now drops down here, and these ones take you to the top. So it's a nice kind of hybrid task list there, where we can mix database-driven tasks and process-driven tasks. So that means I can actually lose this one. This is purely process-driven tasks, so I'm going to remove that. I'm going to keep the information box. This is configured. I'm going to bring actions up a little bit, and let's just put some actions in here because this can be useful. So again, I can open the configuration input box here. So let's configure our record actions. So I'm happy that it had the default label of actions. I could change that and leave it. But the record actions is pretty simple. So I've got a few things I might want to add. I've just got my paste here. Yeah. So I've got my work list action. Maybe I'm going to create a new database task. Maybe I want to record type. Case dot actions. Create a fake task. That's the one that just creates a database task. And case dot new case. Okay, so there's 3 actions that I'm going to add to my list. The style is already set to sidebar primary. This came from the default test values, I think, and set to center. So I'll save that. Okay, so then we've got our record actions showing up here, where we can take some actions. Let's save this. and take a quick look at our updated site so far. Okay, so it's gone wide now because I deleted that column, but I've got my tasks, so my actions. These open in modals that we looked at before, and I can create a new task item. I can create a new fake task, and we'll see that pops in a new database task here. I can open up, I can complete that. It's gone. And I can also create a new case. Now we'll come in here and we'll change some of these shortly, because these are type of heads, and we can change these to pickers and different things as well. Okay, what's next? Let's thin the ground a little bit on these other columns. So I'm going to keep this editable grid. I don't need this pick list for this build. The comments list will go onto the record, so I'm going to remove that. And I probably don't need the documents on here as well. This will probably go to the record too. We could leave it to show all documents, all recent documents, but let's take it out and let's focus our screen real estate on these items. So I'll make the column fixed width narrow plus medium. We can even go medium plus. Let's have a look. Okay, that's fine. Let's show our case record here for now then. So let's configure our expandable record grid. We can do it in the side column here, or as before, we can do our configure inputs. Now I'm going to call it my cases rather than editable grid. And this is record backed, so it'll do the query for me. So I give it the record type, which is my case. I'll copy that, and I'll give it my ID field, and it needs some grid column configurations. So let's just do our record fields first. So we want our case ID, actually, in this case, it's optional. We don't need this because we don't want to filter by a particular case. We want this to be to show everything. I can add additional filtering or paging, all optional. I will want to provide drill down contents later. We'll come back to that. And it does have a parent hierarchy, this one, but we're not going to use that for this. We'll leave the record actions. Maybe we'll add a record action to true, and we will put the update case. Maybe for fun we can put the delete case in too. And we'll make allow fast delete false, so that removes the little trash can from the side. And we'll leave these as defaults, and we won't do the show link, the arrow link. Okay, so that's good. We just now need to define our columns. So our grid column configuration, what data columns do we want to show? So this is an array of these rules, and the grid column takes a column label, which we're going to call. I'll leave the first one blank, and we'll do the record field to be case ID. Oops. Our case ID, and we'll do our column width to be narrow. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's our first column configured. I'm going to copy this for the second column. Do some more space in here. And the second column is going to be the name. And this will default to distribute, so I'm going to get rid of that. Let's give it a name. And I will put the created and to by maybe. We'll go exploit our relationships here. We'll go relationship. We won't care about who it's assigned to. and we can do first and last name. Okay, let's have a look at see what that looks like. Okay, great. So we're not populating our created to date field, it seems. This is a little bit squashed in this view, but it might look fine if we save that and have a look at it in here. Okay, so we've got our cases, we've got our actions, and we can drill down. And we're going to replace this drill down with our record summary view when we've improved that shortly. Okay, so there's one more thing that's quite interesting on this grid that we can do is if we just add an extra column in. So this column is our active column, and the active column is actually a Boolean. So I'm telling it that it's going to be a column width, and I'm giving it a bit of extra information. I'm telling it that you can use a checkbox field for editing this column, and these are the choice labels and choice values. So you can do the same with drop downs and things like that to give a way of selecting things in the user interface. And we can also maybe show add row to true. And then we can see we've got this coming here and the add button at the bottom. So we go back to the theme look and feel. So now we've got a little bit more. So we can do some nice things now. So we can add a row. So this is my new case, and I can say that it's active, and I can save that. And that's just now persisting. I can search new case, so that works nicely. I can, if I want to change one of these, I can tick it, and then I can save it. And I've added this in, but I can go update case and come in and complete the details. If it's got a parent case, or I want to put the assignee in. Do this. Okay, so we've got that populated now. So that's looking good. Let's focus and move on to our summary view. So our record doesn't actually have a summary view yet. So let's have a look at this this case record that we've been connecting things up to. And if we have a look at its views and headers, we can see that actually right now it doesn't have a record view at all. So we can get it to generate a record view for our starter. If we want, we can add in any of the relationship fields. Let's see, do we want anything here? We have the priority and the status. I'm not going to bring in the comments or documents at this stage. Okay, so Appin's created this summary view for us. If we just save this and have a quick peek at what that looks like in the generic view, we've got our case priority and our case status. So before we do much in the way of changing that, this is our rule here that we're going to need. So because it needs the record passing into it, let's open it up. It expects the whole record type to be passed in, and what we're going to have is just the ID for when we use it in our grid. So we're going to have to do a quick wrapper of it. So let's okay, so let's add a wrapper. And I'm going to do this in expression mode for speed. What I actually want in here is the query record type. What it's going to receive is just the ID. And it's an integer. So let's just add this query in and launch the query editor. And this is, we need it to query our cases. which is good. And yeah, let's continue on that. We also included some of these relationships, so we wanted the priority and the status to be included, and we're filtering it by the ID field, and it's the variable ID. Okay, if we test that, it's not going to do anything. We've not set a rule input. Let's set the value to 1 and test the button again. Okay, so we get our single query result back, which is good. And we don't need the paging, we just need the data. So we won't have it wrapped in the data subset. Let's generate that and have a check. Yeah, that looks like it's populated that well. So let's make use of this summary wrap in our components. So we've got our grid here, and I'm going to add the drill down. So we've got the drill down contents is our field. And what this expects is a rule reference. So we're not going to put the brackets because it just wants the reference to the rule, and it's going to do the passing in of the ID fields. So we've done that now, and what we should see is when we hit this, yeah, you see our completed summary view drop into place. So let's have a look at that in the theme again. Close this and open it, and there it is. Okay, so let's choose one that's a bit more populated. Okay, good. I want to do one thing to this, is wrap it in a card. I'm going to do that. See how that feels now. Okay, good. I'm quite happy with that. That's a nice drill down. But now we need to work on this summary view. This doesn't give us everything that we are going to want in a summary view. Let's enhance it a bit and use some more of our building blocks. So we've got our summary wrap, and we've got our summary view with individual items. So let's rearrange these a little bit. I'm going to have some columns on the sides. We're going to put the content in the middle. Let's squeeze that in there for now. So that will look better when we make it wider. So this column doesn't need to be as wide as this. We'll go for a medium width. In fact, I might even get away with narrow plus in this, because I'm thinking to put one of our side steps in here. Perhaps so let's put these vertical steps in here. I can configure the step names. We don't really have our process mapped out yet for this. So let's just do open. I think our statuses are like open case. New case, open case, closed case. We'll define that better later. So value-wise, we've got our record, and it will be our ID field that we'll be using. We don't need to show the links on this. We'll probably theme it, but we don't need to do that right now. I'm going to stick with the default at this point, and the rest is fine. Maybe we say that it's our case progress. This would much likely be a fuller process steps later on. But we can see now that we've got a status ID of 2, so we're in this case open stage. That's working fine for what we need now. Let's go back to the Dataless components, and we can add in some interesting things. So in our case, we're probably going to want to have our documents and our comments. So we'll start with the comments. And we've configured these up before, but let's quickly do this. Comment, case ID. Our case ID is going to be from our rule input. Record.id is our case ID, yeah. The author is the created by, the timestamp is created on, and the comment is the comment. Easy. We can enable the AI to auto summarize it and give it some context if we wanted to pass in here. What you might do is pass in your description field, so that when you've got the AI is auto summarizing what you've written about in the comments, it has the context of the case that you're passing into it. That can be useful. It's not going to be read-only. We want to be always add the comments, and it's going to do the saving for us. We don't need to do anything else on these events. We can use the value and the save into to trigger this if we want. Right, so I think that's good. Let's add that in. Okay, so we've got some test case notes already in this record that I've loaded through. Let's just narrow this column a bit. It's taking up too much space. Okay, fixed width. And I think medium plus for the comments. Now we're going to drop in our document list as well. Let's do record type document, TA document, that's our document. And we've got the document ID, so this is where the document's stored. Document field. I'm not going to filter it down with that. I'm not going to include actions on this one. Default paging is fine. The case ID we will filter on, so we just see the documents for this case, and the case ID field is our case ID. And the case ID in this case is as before, it's our ID field. Now, the save into value we can do things with when we click on a document. We might want to open it up in a preview pane or something like that in the document viewer. We can configure that there. I'm not going to do it at the moment. I'm just going to put the ID field in for the document. And I'll leave that defaults. Okay. Great, so we've got one document in here. As I say, we'd probably want to make it selectable, but if we click on it, it would download it. Okay, so that's a vast improvement already. Let's save that. And we can jump back to our theme and see if we're happy with that. Maybe I'll just do one last example configuration. Let's use our hierarchy diagram, because this case actually has a parent-child hierarchy, which we're not currently illustrating at all. So if we pop in our parent-child hierarchy diagram, okay, no, it's the other one I wanted. So one is for when you've got the relationship between two record types, and this one is for when you've got a parent ID field pointing to itself, which is what we had in this model. So this is all about the case this time. So we've got TA case, and we're going to start with the ID of the record. The field name is going to be the name of the case, and details, I'm going to do the status. So we use the relationship to status and get the value. I'm going to do the description field is the case text. It will get truncated, but we'll just be able to see the start of it. And our record link, if we want to link to the record, we can. That's probably useful. So the parent ID field now it cares about. So in this case, it's called parent case, and the field that contains the record's ID. Did I do that? No. Okay, this is the ID. And then if we want to give it an image, we can do that. So there is a potential relationship here for the image. I'm going to leave this blank for now. And if we want it to be selectable, things to happen when you click on it to know which one's being clicked, we've got that. I'm going to put children as the title, and let's see if this works. Okay, so this one's good. It's my first case. It doesn't have any children in this one. Let's save this and have a look at our main dashboard view of this. Let's have a look at what this looks like. My new case. This doesn't have much populated in it, this one. So we can see how that's fitting in there. Let's have a look at this one. This has got the parent hierarchy. Yeah, so here we can see we've got our progress, we've got our case information, and we've got our notes. We probably want to theme this better. Maybe I'm not so keen on this being on a dark background now. I might just change this to be none. Yeah, I think I like that better. We might even find that our case progress is better as a horizontal one when we want to fit it into this kind of space. Okay. That's a little bit better. We can rearrange this and style it how we want, but the principle's good. Like, we've got working comments block, we've got our documents that we can download, we've got our hierarchy diagram. It's not taking us very long to get to this configuration point. So I think there's one last thing I'd like to show you for this video, and that's we'll make a change to our update, create and update case form, because one of the things that is really common to want to do is to change these pickers that have been auto-created with all your relationship information that are great, but we kind of want to change this to be a drop-down. So I'm going to take those, I'm going to copy those out of here. And what I'm going to do is choose our design library and our selection components. So here now we can use a record back drop down in place of our status. And let's have just accept our default values for now. It will just drop in as it was. And what I'm going to do is just go back into the expression mode that we had before and paste in the values that I stole from the original component. So that will basically give us the configuration that we need. We just need to say our choice labels are in our case status dot value field, and our choice values are in the case status dot ID fields. So that will make the values and the IDs be what we're selecting. Okay, and of course we probably want to give it a better label, and this is our status after all. Now we left the record picker in so we can test this. Actually, if we change it to in progress, we can see that it's selected nicely. So we can be done with that picker now. So that's a much faster way. We didn't have to write a query or anything for bringing that in. And the priority, maybe the priority might be better off as radio buttons or something like that. Let's see, we can do a record back radio button in the same way. Take our picker. Take our values. And as before, we've got our choice. So we've got our choice style, which we might populate for this one. We want it to be cards. I'm going to do my choice labels as priority dot value, and my choice values as priority dot ID. Okay. Again, our label is priority. And now we've got this different way of selecting it. We probably want to change the order perhaps, but that will do for now. So we can see that's working nicely. But let's take this over to our application, and we can do a new case. And now we're able to fill this out. We can pick our parent case, which makes sense to be a picker. We can set our priority to medium. We can say it's in progress. My final case. Assigned to me. Okay, there we go. There we go. That was connecting the data. Hopefully now you can see that using design library components that have been built in this Dataless Design style means that you can build applications much faster, where you're working in this application composition platform style of working, where really all we're doing is wiring things together. So we're making those connections between the data and the front end, and it makes things much faster.